Communications.
I'm a plumber and I'm on site for a job, and we're snaking a drain, and we've been pulling back. We probably pulled back about 10 pounds, 15 pounds of it looks like flesh type of stuff, meat, and we don't know.
It was supposed to be a simple plumbing job, a clogged drain in a quiet neighborhood. But when the plumbers pulled their snake back up, it wasn't grease or hair that came out. It was nearly 15 pounds of something that looked like raw flesh. At first, no one could tell. Was it meat or something far worse? Within hours, that ordinary house call had turned into a crime scene, and what investigators uncovered inside those pipes would reveal one of the most chilling murders Ontario had ever seen. This is the terrifying case of Adam, brought to you by Redline Crime. The first case begins with Rory Hachey. Born in July 1999 in Oshawa, a quiet suburb in Ontario, Canada, she was a bright, spirited child with a love for animals and the elderly. Outside of school, Rory thrived as an Army cadet, winning the prestigious Cadet of the Year title twice before she was even a teenager. But when she entered high school at just 14, her life took a devastating turn. Offered crystal meth as a freshman, Rory accepted, a single mistake that sparked years of addiction and turmoil. Rory's family history was as troubled as her early choices. Her grandfather, Bernie Ginden, infamously known as Bernie the Frog, was the founder of Satan's Choice Motorcycle Club, once the second largest biker gang in the world. An outlaw biker with drug and assault convictions, Bernie had served 22 years behind bars and fathered between 11 and 16 children. One of them was Rory's uncle, Harley Davidson Guion, who owned a clothing store in Oshawa. Despite his Hells Angels lifestyle, complete with drug charges and a tattoo recording his flawless prison fight record of 41 wins and no losses, Harley had a soft spot for his young niece. In 2016, at age 17, Rory lived with Harley and his family while he was under house arrest on drug charges. Her mother, Shannon Dion, had even reported herself to the Children's Aid Society in a desperate attempt to secure treatment for Rory's addiction. But the system failed her. In the end, Rory began finding her own strength, slowly piecing her life back together. The last 6 months of Rory's life were filled with hope. She had a boyfriend named Tony, her own apartment, and even financial support from Harley, who gave her and her mother $1,000 to stay afloat. Yet Rory didn't just rely on handouts. She found a job and returned to school. By August 2017, her life finally seemed to be back on track. That same month, her aunt Michelle Guion accompanied her to a drugstore for a pregnancy test. It came back positive. Rory was going to be a mother, and she was determined to keep the baby. But just as her future looked bright, tragedy struck. On August 10th, 2017, a mysterious fire broke out in her mother's home. Shannon was injured, and their family dog was killed. Whether this was a coincidence or the beginning of something far darker, no one could have predicted how quickly Rory's fragile stability would unravel. Rory Hash was a familiar face at a youth centre called The Refuge. Staff had noticed her relapsing into drug use earlier in the year, but by August she appeared to be turning things around. Just days before the month ended, Rory met with her uncle Harley. Something about her felt different. Secretive, withdrawn, almost as if she were carrying a burden she couldn't share. When she hugged him, Harley later described it as the biggest and most heartbreaking embrace he had ever received. To him, it felt like a silent, final goodbye. On August the 29th, 2017, Rory's friend and the friend's mother took her to the hospital. hospital. The exact reason remains unclear, but reports describe her as experiencing some kind of mental episode. Security cameras captured Rory sitting in the waiting room, but when her friend and the mother left, Rory was suddenly alone. After just 15 minutes, she walked out without ever being examined by a doctor. That chilling hospital footage shows the last time Rory Hash was ever seen alive. When Rory failed to show up at the refuge for several days, her friends, guidance counsellor and family grew deeply concerned. Some speculated that she had simply run away or fallen back into old habits. But those closest to her knew otherwise. Rory was pregnant, in a stable relationship, and making strides to rebuild her life. She wouldn't just vanish. Something was wrong. And on September 11th, 2017, the horrifying truth began to surface. That evening, at Oshawa Harbour, a grandfather and his 11-year-old grandson were out fishing. From the pier, they noticed what looked like debris floating in the water. Hoping to clean up the lake, they cast their lines toward it. After nearly half an hour, they managed to pull the object close enough to net it. At first, they thought it might be an animal, maybe a chicken. But as the object hit the pier, the grandfather's voice trembled. "I think that's a body." The horrifying discovery was a female torso. Police rushed to the scene and confirmed the remains bore clear signs of trauma. The torso had been deliberately severed from the rest of the body. Suddenly, Oshawa Harbour was no longer a peaceful waterfront, but a chilling crime scene. Reporters swarmed the area with one haunting question. Who was this woman, and why had she been killed? Authorities immediately began working to identify the victim, but Lake Ontario is vast, and investigators couldn't rule out that the remains had drifted from another city. The absence of the pelvis made identification even harder, and the torso's condition left police uncertain if the woman had been pregnant. Weeks passed with no answers. Finally, on November 10th, nearly 2 months later, DNA testing confirmed the truth. The torso belonged to missing 18-year-old Rory Hash. Her disappearance was no longer a mystery. It was now a brutal murder case. Murder. But how had Rory's torso ended up in the lake? Who had killed her? And horrifyingly, where was the rest of her body? Investigators had no leads. Lake Ontario had washed away crucial evidence, and Rory's final movements after leaving the hospital were still a mystery. How long had she been alive after that night? Who had she met? And what had they done to her? For now, police didn't know. All her family could do was wait in agony. They waited until December 28th, 2017, when Oshawa police received word of a grim discovery from a local plumber. A couple renting an upstairs apartment had complained of a blocked pipe that had lasted several days. The man in the basement suite, longtime tenant Adam Strong, claimed it was just an inflated condom causing the blockage. He even asked for a plumbing snake to fix it. But when the upstairs tenants called in professional plumbers, what they uncovered was far darker. The source of the blockage led directly to Strong's basement apartment. As the plumbers knocked, they were hit by a nauseating stench. Inside, Strong appeared tense, dismissing the foul state of the drains. But when the plumbers ran their snake through the pipes, they pulled out something no one should ever see. Soft, fleshy material that looked human. The plumbers froze in horror. Police were called immediately. When they confronted Adam Strong, his chilling response stunned everyone. Opening the door, he said almost casually, "The jig's up." It's a body. He was arrested on the spot. But even in custody, Strong kept talking. In the squad car, he revealed more. "If you want the rest of her, she's in my freezer. She's pretty defleshed." With mounting dread, officers opened the freezer inside Strong's apartment. What they found confirmed their worst fears: severed human body parts, including a head. Tattooed across the victim's neck were the words "alive," the exact same tattoo Rory Hash had. The remains were hers. An autopsy revealed facial injuries, skull fractures, and drugs in her system. While the exact cause of death could not be determined, whether strangulation, blunt force trauma, or overdose, what was certain was that Rory had endured a violent, horrifying end. Delays, excuses, and arrogance. Strong did everything he could to delay the trial. Because the pandemic had forced much of the proceedings online, he often refused to appear on video link. At times he outright complained, "I was up all night. I'm tired. I want to go to bed." His arrogance and refusal to cooperate did nothing to help his image in court. It only made him appear more defiant and detached. The conviction that shocked Oshawa. Finally, on March 16, 2021, after endless delays, justice was served. Strong was convicted of 1 count of first-degree murder for killing Rory Hassett and 1 count of manslaughter in the death of Candace Fitzpatrick. Remarkably, this conviction came without Candace's body and without any confession to the killings themselves. His admission to dismemberment was enough to seal his fate. The murder charge carried an automatic life sentence. A chilling confession behind bars. In July 2021, resigned to his prison fate, Strong made a chilling admission to a guard. He knew where Candace's remains were. Police escorted him to a location in Oshawa, where he pointed to the burial site. At last, investigators recovered Candace's remains, bringing long-awaited closure to her devastated family after nearly a decade of unanswered questions. The family's agony and relief won. Grieving relative described the pain of waiting. "We're barely surviving a year and a half going through this. I couldn't imagine 10 years. They're good-hearted people, crushed beyond words." For many, the shocking part wasn't just Strong's crimes, but that they happened so close to home, right near the downtown core of Oshawa. No remorse. No humanity. Even after conviction, Strong showed no signs of remorse. In his mind, he was guilty of nothing, already tried, judged, and convicted only by others. But to the families and community, his lack of humanity made the crimes even more chilling. The biker connection and deadly consequences. Strong's sentence also carried a unique danger. Rory's family ties ran deep into biker history. Her grandfather, Bernie Ginden, was the founder of Satan's Choice, once one of the world's largest outlaw motorcycle clubs. As one convict put it, "You can't kill a biker's granddaughter and get away with it." Behind bars, Strong may face his harshest reckoning yet. Lingering questions. To this day, no one knows exactly how Strong met his victims, or why he killed them. Prosecutors believe the murders were crimes of opportunity, that he may have kidnapped Candace and Rory off the streets. But the darkest question remains: What happened in the decade-long gap between his first and second kill? What horrors might still be hidden? Final words to the audience. What do you think about this disturbing story? How could Strong's crimes remain undetected for so long? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your perspective. Until next time, stay safe, keep your eyes open, and don't miss our next case right here on Redline Crime.